Next, we move on to Almas Hyder, who's the chairman of the Engineering Development Board. Almas Saab, if you could join me on stage, he will be talking about, his presentation is entitled Make in Pakistan, Transitioning to Future Skillsets. What are the priorities for manufacturers? Also, I'd like to invite Ali Khizar Aslam, who's the head of research at Business Recorder, who will do a short and a very concise Q&A immediately after. So, Almas Hyder, Chairman, Engineering Development Board.
I've been asked to talk about Make in Pakistan. पहली बात तो ये कि आपने कहा कि मैं Engineering Development Board का chairman हूँ. I was the chairman till the 30th of January this year. 1st of February, I officially retired from that position. However, I'm still looking after the board till they find the next chairman. Okay, the story started a few years back. Ali Habib zinda the. Pakistan Business Council के अंदर we had these longish meetings, and one of the things that the industry decided that we should ask the government to change its policies because जो import और export का जो differential है उसको कम करने के लिए हमें पाकिस्तान में चीज़ें बनानी पड़ेंगी. So इसलिए ये सारा project शुरू हुआ. I was on the side of the government, so I helped in making some policies. Some of the very successful policies, for example, is the mobile phone policy. We used to import a couple of $1 billion worth of mobile phones every year. This year, I think about 80% of the total mobile phones used in Pakistan will be manufactured, assembled in Pakistan. Next year, hopefully, we'll cross 90%. Same thing, everybody talked about the auto industry के अंदर localization, deletion, वगैरह. There are a couple of SROs जो उसको manage करते हैं. Those SROs had to be amended, changed, so that the local component manufacturing industry grew. And if it grows, then probably we will also start exporting in larger numbers. The third was the tariff rationalization, जिसके ऊपर काम होता रहा कि raw materials की कीमतें कम करनी चाहिए and things like that. Anyway, there is a positive and negative to whatever happened over there. I'll talk about the negatives also, and I'll talk about the positives also. I think I have 15 minutes, 13 minutes and 1 second left. So try to wrap it up in these. I got about 20 slides, so I'm not going to talk about the slides, or I'm not going to read them. I'll request you कि वो पढ़ आप लीजिए, मैं साथ-साथ छोटी-मोटी comment ही करता जाऊँगा. Okay, this is a snapshot of the economy of Pakistan. We have about rebasing किया ना इसकी, हमारी economy की GDP की. After rebasing, we are $346 billion economy. On a purchasing power parity, we are over $1 trillion economy. So we are not a small country. Go to the next one. This is the breakup. और ये एक छोटा सा idea आपको देगा कि agriculture is about 19% of the GDP. They pay negligible amount of taxes. Manufacturing is about 12% of the economy. And we pay about 69% of the taxes. And then the service sector is about 60% of the economy, and they pay around 30% taxes. This is one of the reasons why people don't want to go towards manufacturing, and most of the money is going into areas जहाँ पे real value add नहीं हो रही. For example, buying land doesn't create value, it only creates wealth. For people who have bought land, it doesn't create value. So what do we want in Pakistan? We want grow more, make more, and serve more. One of the reasons कि चीज़ें महंगी हो रही हैं, उसकी वजह ये नहीं है कि सिर्फ कॉस्ट पुश हो रहा है, वो भी हो रहा है साथ साथ। जब डिमांड ज़्यादा हो और सप्लाई कम हो तो चीज़ों की कीमतें बढ़ती है। दिस इज इकोनॉमिक्स 101। अगर आपने चीज़ों की कीमतें कम करनी है तो उसकी प्रोडक्शन बढ़ानी पड़ेगी। एंड व्हेन एवरी वन ऑफ अस हैज़ टू थिंक कि मैं पाकिस्तान में या हम पाकिस्तान में प्रोडक्शन को बढ़ा कैसे सकते हैं। बढ़ाएंगे तो कैपेसिटीज क्रिएट होंगी, इन्वेस्टमेंट क्रिएट होगी एंड ऑल ऑफ दोज थिंग्स। सो दिस इज critical that we grow more, make more and serve more. Pakistan is actually going through a deindustrialization phase. इसके अंदर एक स्लाइड थी मेरे पास, वो मैंने नहीं लगाई यहाँ पे। By deindustrialization you actually mean कि अगर आपकी इन्वेस्टमेंट भी हो रही है, ग्रोथ भी हो रही है इंडस्ट्री में, लेकिन टोटल ग्रोथ से कम हो रही है और आप नेगेटिव जीडीपी का परसेंटेज में माइनस में जा रहे हैं, दैट्स ऑल्सो कॉल्ड डी इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन। पाकिस्तान इज एक्चुअली इन अ फेज ऑफ डी इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन। सो दिस इज 3 कंट्रीज। अगर आप इनको देखें तो यू कैन ओनली एक्सपोर्ट मोर व्हेन यू प्रोड्यूस मोर। हम एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं without really investing in capacity, and that capacity is necessary to export more. This is what has happened in Bangladesh, Vietnam, Pakistan. So this is just a comparison over there. Investment savings rate भी पाकिस्तान का सबसे कम है। हम इनफैक्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट को टैक्स करते हैं और लोगों को महसूस करवाते हैं कि ये बड़ी बुरी बात है अगर आप सेविंग्स करनी शुरू कर दें। अगर आप सेविंग करेंगे तो आपको टैक्स लगेगा, क्योंकि बैंक के अंदर आपने पैसे रखे होंगे तो कभी वो बैंक से काट लेंगे, कभी ट्रांजैक्शन के ऊपर काट लेंगे, कभी पैसे जब निकलवाएंगे तब काट लेंगे। सो नोबडी वांट्स टू पुट मनी इनटू द बैंक्स, दे रादर पुट मनी इनटू अंडर देयर पिलो और in gold or diamonds or dollars or whatever. They rather not put money into the banks. So if the banks don't have the money, then reinvestment भी एक इशू बन जाता है। दूसरी साइड पे गवर्नमेंट को भी बड़ा शौक है इनसे पैसे लेने का बैंकों से, तो बाकी तो सारा कॉर्नर हो जाता है ना। वी डोंट हैव इनफ मनी अवेलेबल टू इन्वेस्ट इन इंडस्ट्री इन पर्टिकुलर। These are the pillars जो कि I'd like you to just read it, then I'll move forward. अच्छा, इंपोर्ट्स जो है ना वो बुरी चीज नहीं है। पाकिस्तान की जो इंपोर्ट है टू जीडीपी दैट इज 18%, while Vietnam imports 103% of their GDP. जो बुरी चीज़ है वो ये है कि इंपोर्ट करने के बाद जब एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं, पाकिस्तान इज ओनली 8% ऑफ द जीडीपी एंड वियतनाम इज 106% ऑफ द जीडीपी। सो 103% वो इंपोर्ट करते हैं, 106% एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं, दे क्रिएट अ सरप्लस। वाइल हम कहते हैं कि इंपोर्ट बंद कर दो। जब आप इंपोर्ट बंद करेंगे तो अगर फर्ज करें बांग्लादेश इंपोर्ट बंद कर दे तो उसकी टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री के साथ क्या होगा? They are about $40 billion worth of exports from Bangladesh, and all of their fiber or cloths or whatever is imported. So import is not a bad thing. It is what you do with the import. If you want to just consume it, then it's bad. But if you want to process it and export it again, it's good. So I think we should have a frictionless import-export policy जिसके अंदर के हम वैल्यू ऐड करके एक्सपोर्ट कर सकें। दैट्स वन ऑफ द वीकनेसेस दैट वी हैव। जो बड़े बड़े जो सेक्टर्स हैं दुनिया की ट्रेड में, उसके अंदर वी आर नॉट इवन प्रेजेंट। वी आर प्रेजेंट इन टेक्सटाइल, वी आर प्रेजेंट इन सर्जिकल इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स, वी आर प्रेजेंट इन स्पोर्ट्स गुड्स, a couple of other things. They are not the largest sectors of trade in the world. Electrical machinery, heavy electrical, yeah, जो है वो $2.7 trillion है. We are not even there. 0.01% share. मशीनरी, मैकेनिकल अप्लायंसेस, हम कहते हैं मशीनरी सारी हमने इंपोर्ट करनी है. Largest sector of the trade. We used to have a very good machinery manufacturing sector in Pakistan at one time. जब पाकिस्तान बना था उस वक्त डीजल इंजन बना करते थे, उस वक्त मिलिंग मशीनें बना करती थी, लेथ मशीनें बना करती थी. आज आहिस्ता 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 थोड़े से लोग रह गए बनाने वाले, बाकी हम इंपोर्ट करते हैं. और हम सब समझते हैं कि बड़ी अच्छी बात है इंपोर्ट करना, क्योंकि इससे टेक्नोलॉजी आती है. टेक्नोलॉजी उस मशीनरी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग से आती है, मशीन इंपोर्ट करने से नहीं आती है. पाकिस्तान की जो मेजर एक्सपोर्ट्स है वो सेक्टर वो हैं जो सेक्टर ग्लोबल ट्रेड के अंदर बड़े छोटे छोटे एरियाज हैं. फिर हमने एक्सपोर्ट मार्केट भी लिमिटेड एक्सपोर्ट मार्केट्स बनाई हुई हैं. जब चाइना ने ये OBOR बनाया था 1982 में, उन्होंने सिलेक्ट की थी 81 कंट्रीज और 87 कंट्रीज, समथिंग लाइक दैट. उन्होंने कहा कि हमारा जो प्रोडक्ट है वो यूरोप में और अमेरिका में बेचना बड़ा मुश्किल होगा, बिकॉज हमारी क्वालिटी इतनी अच्छी नहीं होगी. ये 80-90 मुल्क हैं जहाँ पे अगर हम एक्सपोर्ट करें ना तो हमारी क्वालिटी वहाँ पे एक्सेप्टेबल होगी. वो अफ्रीका के बहुत सारे मुल्क हैं, एशिया के बहुत सारे मुल्क हैं, लैटिन अमेरिका के बहुत सारे मुल्क हैं. और उन्होंने वन बेल्ट वन रोड उस वक्त डिफाइन किया कि हम इन मुल्कों तक पहुँचने के लिए सड़क, जहाज, ट्रेनें, शिपिंग लाइंस, पोर्ट्स जो बनाते हैं ताकि हम इन मुल्कों तक एक्सेस कर सकें. टुडे, apart from investing in their capacity in China, they have created this logistics network with all of those countries, and no wonder China is the largest powerhouse of exports in the world today. So OBOR उन्होंने वहाँ बनाया था. We need to, अब हमारे सामने दुबई है, UAE है, which is a center जो कि सारे अफ्रीका को cater करता है. The other day we wanted to send a small consignment to Dubai. We couldn't find a ship to go to Dubai. मतलब मैंने उनसे कहा कि छोटी बोट्स नहीं होती यार, 2 दिनों में पहुंच जाती हैं, कोई बोट के ऊपर रखो वहाँ दुबई पहुँचा दो. उन्होंने कहा जी वो नहीं हो सकता, वो या लीगली अलाउड नहीं है या कोई और मसला है. उन्होंने कहा जी नहीं हो सकता. यार सामने एक मुल्क, व्हाई कांट वी क्रिएट अ फेरी सर्विस बिटवीन दुबई एंड पाकिस्तान. जो मल्टीनेशनल्स भी पाकिस्तान में आई हैं, दे हैव ग्लोबल मार्केट्स. मैं कतर गया हुआ था द अदर डे एंड आई सॉ कि वहाँ के जितने शैम्पूज हैं यूनिलीवर के बने हुए, वो इंडोनेशिया से आए हुए थे. मेड इन इंडोनेशिया लिखा हुआ था. आई केम बैक, तो शाजिया वॉज द चेयरमैन एट दैट टाइम. आई वेंट टू हर एंड आई सेड कि शाजिया वो शैम्पूज वहाँ पे बिक रहे हैं कतर के अंदर, तो वाई कांट तुम यहाँ से हर वेडनेसडे को शिप जाता है कतर, तो उस पर चढ़ाओ, 2 दिनों में वहाँ पहुँच जाएगा. ये इंडोनेशिया से मंगवाते हैं वो लोग. दे हैड देयर ओन ग्लोबल समथिंग जिसके तहत वो पाकिस्तान से एक्सपोर्ट नहीं था हो सकता. इस तरह के जो एग्रीमेंट्स हैं या इस तरह की जो इम्पेडिमेंट्स हैं, उसकी वजह से ये मल्टीनेशनल कंपनीज जिसके सबके प्रोडक्ट ग्लोबल क्वालिटी के हैं, ग्लोबल प्राइसिंग के ऊपर हैं, एक्सपोर्ट के अंदर taxes are not exported. Taxes are always refunded. So we are as good as anybody else when we go to exports. I think we should request these companies to look at making Pakistan a base for exports. I had a meeting with a gentleman from Samsung the other day, और उन्होंने लोकल बनाने शुरू किए हैं अपने मोबाइल फोन्स. So they said that we have started exporting to Afghanistan. I said why not to Uzbekistan and other countries जहाँ पे हमारे इस वक्त ट्रेड नए रूट्स बन रहे हैं. उन्होंने कहा जी वो हमारे जोन में नहीं आता, वो किसी और के जोन में है तो वो वहाँ से जाता है. Anyway, so I said I'll give you enough ammunition to go to your head office and talk to them. So I hope something can happen over there. some of the reasons why our exports suffer, I call it friction. There is a lot of friction between the factory and the port, and from the port to going outside. Taxes refund नहीं हो रहे हैं, प्रोविंशियल गवर्नमेंट ने टैक्सेस लगाए हुए हैं जो कि फेडरल गवर्नमेंट वापस करने को तैयार नहीं है, एंड सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ. लॉजिस्टिक्स के इश्यूज हैं, ट्रक नहीं मिलता है, ट्रक बड़ा महंगा हो गया है, कंटेनर नहीं मिल रहे हैं, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of friction in the whole system. So ये चीज़ें, just some of the policy issues that we have been discussing with the government, both with the government and the State Bank of Pakistan and the banks. I think we all have to put together or act together to be able to do what we want to do. But Pakistan will always only come out of its difficulties if we are able to export more, produce more, manufacture more, and grow more. So these are some of the products which can go out from the service sector, from the manufacturing sector, and from the agriculture sector. And some of the skill sets that we need in Pakistan, we are stuck in 1969, the second generation industrial revolution, second industrial revolution में. Third industrial revolution के अंदर computer became an integral part of manufacturing. And the fourth generation started using artificial intelligence. So you go to most of our companies, we don't even have computerized machines. So I think that's the new area that we need to move in, and we need to move in as quickly as possible by training our youth to be able to handle those technologies. Again, ये जो हम लोग lobby करते हैं government के साथ, some of those issues, and I think all of you know more about these issues than I do. I thank you very much, Ji.
Make in Pakistan, and he talked about the automobile, and he talked about the mobile phones and all that. So if I connect it to what Dr. Amjad said, that we should cut 10 billion non-essential imports, that would mean there would be zero car making in Pakistan, and this whole policy of his make in Pakistan goes to the garbage. And so that's not happening. That cannot happen. That's what my point is. But my one point is, in 1980s, when you talked about this, Ali Habib started this, and there was a concept about that there will be indigenization, and local parts will develop, and the local part market will develop, and we'll export the auto parts and all that. Fast forward to 20, a car we make, including all the parts we make in Pakistan, the net import bill ranges from 85 to 90%. So if car you drive, and if you take out the government taxes out of it, and the company's profits out of it, just 10-15% value addition is there. So even company profit inclusive, it's 10-15%. So that's there. And the similar thing is going to happen in a mobile phone if we go the same path we went back in this. And the zone problem, so these Japanese, we cannot export from that. One big success in Pakistan is about the tractor, but we cannot export because of the zoning problem and all that. And similar is the case of Honda bikes, Honda CD70 and all, there's a big market in Africa, but we cannot do that because of the zoning problem and all that. And then there's an industrial policy, what he talks about is where you're choosing winners. That, okay, you invest in automobile, you invest in smartphones, XYZ, but you're not making something to choose. Let the investor to choose where to invest and what to manufacture based on the competitive advantage and comparative advantages. Rather, we impose that choice on them. That's another one area which we need to discuss on this. And the problem with this, what all the policies you talk about is about are of import substitution. And in Pakistan, in the recent World Bank reports mentioned that import substitution has actually substituted exports, because import substitution has such a lucrative business option for manufacturers. They don't go and invest in exports. And if you see from 2000 The last export investment came in between 2003 to 8, and then now some investment is going to. Rest of all the investment came into the domestic industries, and the domestic industries have that protection, and then those lobbies get that protection to have that, and then you have the problem of inefficiencies. And we've been talking about that कि जी गाड़ियाँ 5 लाख बिकनी चाहिए. 2008 में भी talk about 5 लाख बिकनी चाहिए. 2018 में भी talk about 5 लाख बिकनी चाहिए. And in 2021, the total cars sold in Pakistan were 291,000. Out of that, about 50,000 were imported cars. So we make those policies, but because of those lobbies, protection, zoning problems, XYZ, and so we keep on choosing the winner, and then we keep on breeding the inefficiencies. And whereas the efficient markets where you have comparative advantage, you don't get to know that. So how to tackle this puzzle, Almas Hyder?
Thank you very much. I think over history, we have taken some steps जिसकी वजह से आज हम उस सिचुएशन में हैं जहाँ पे कि हमारा जो current account deficit है वो इतना बढ़ गया है. As I said earlier, import is not bad, export is not bad. So let's not say कि ये वाला product अच्छा है या ये project अच्छा है या नहीं है. It is the overall economy which is important for us. People have to travel, people have to go to the offices, people have to go between cities. तो उनको vehicles तो चाहिए हैं. और vehicle बनाएं या import करें या कुछ भी करें, आएंगी तो सही यहाँ पे. अब हमने वो चूँकि हमारे पास buses नहीं हैं और या dilapidated buses हैं, तो हमने मोटरसाइकिलें बढ़ा दी हैं और वो मोटरसाइकिलों का flood आ गया है. So it is a net result of a number of policies that the government took over a period of time. Where does the value addition come in? Value addition comes in when you are using knowledge in your manufacturing system. महातिर का जो 2020 vision थी, उसके अंदर एक graph उसने बनाया था. It was a U graph. The bottom part of the U graph is called the manufacturing value addition. So you have the least value addition in manufacturing. Then you have the R&D, which is slightly higher value addition than manufacturing. And then you have the design on the top. If you can design your product and if you can do the R&D yourself, then you get much more value addition than you get by just manufacturing. On this side, we have the marketing and then we have the branding. So if you can brand your t-shirt, वो $5 की टी-शर्ट जो है वो $35 की बिकेगी. But if you can just market it and you can't brand it, then maybe $10. But if you are doing what we are doing, तो 5% या इतनी सी value addition होगी. We are stuck at the bottom of that curve. How many design houses do we have in any industry, for example? Casting, forging, textiles, sports goods, वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह. हम सब इंतज़ार करते हैं कि नाइके डिज़ाइन भिजवा देगा हमको, हम उसको बना लेंगे. वो टोयोटा वाले डिज़ाइन भेजेंगे, हम उससे कोई चीज़ बना लेंगे. ये जी ओप्पो वाले भेजेंगे, हम उसको कॉपी कर लेंगे. So we are stuck in the lowest value addition. We have to now start a company-wide effort to develop our own design houses. And design houses are, by the way, not expensive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 करोड़ रुपए के अंदर कंप्यूटर्स और सॉफ्टवेयर ऐसे आ जाते हैं जिससे कि आप आराम से अपनी डिजाइनिंग, एंड वी आर ऑल आई थिंक वे बिगर देन that those amounts of money. There has to be an effort that we all have to start, चाहे वो टेक्सटाइल की डिजाइनिंग हो, चाहे वो कपड़े की डिजाइनिंग हो, चाहे वो टी शर्ट की डिजाइनिंग है, चाहे वो कार की डिजाइनिंग है, चाहे मोटरसाइकिल की डिजाइनिंग है. Unless we do that, we'll be stuck at this space.
We need to invest in designing. We need to invest in R&D. Policies are based on what we substitute a little bit, and we keep on running those policies. So when we keep on running those policies, we are not really going into the designing and R&D and the problem. And one of the things you mentioned over there is about the 3D printer. You know how much problem we had in importing 3D printer because of the security issues. You know how many problems we have to import anything which we can use in the R&D and all that. And why can't we do an R&D for outside Pakistan? Again, why we are stuck to this exports of goods, and why we want to manufacture everything under the sun in Pakistan? Why can't we let the market to choose what is good for Pakistan, what is not good for Pakistan?
I think we all, is this working? Okay. I think we all are doing so well, mashallah, कि हमें इन चीज़ों की ज़रूरत नहीं है. It's just an extra effort that we have to do. But very soon, we might reach a stage जो कि श्रीलंका जहाँ पे पहुँच गया है. ना पढ़ाई काम आती है, ना 100% लिटरेसी काम आती है, ना बाकी चीज़ें काम आती हैं. असल में कंट्री का कैश फ्लो काम आता है. और कंट्री का कैश फ्लो जो है वो डेवलप होगा जब हम वैल्यू एडिशन अपनी बढ़ाएंगे. Individual companies also will become more profitable when we do that. So I request the people sitting here and Management Association of Pakistan to start a campaign where we should ask every company to develop their own design house so that they can produce products which have more value added, and these companies become more profitable. Without this, I don't see any other way of moving ahead.
Absolutely. That R&D is so important. So the message we have from this presentation and all that we need to ration our consumption. One thing is that we cannot cut imports are not more. We have to put the exports, but the basic immediate problem is cash flow. To have that better cash flow, we all have to ration our consumption, our use of the petrol, our use of buying new cars, buying new phones, use of the air conditioning and everything. If we want to save this country, and invest in research and development, that is so important. You can make anything you think you can make, work on it, practice on it, build on it. And over the period of time, you can build and you can do something. Like Irfan Saab is not there, but he started thinking about an idea that there is a market of Islamic banking from a small room in FTC, and it is becoming the biggest bank in 5-7 years in Pakistan. So you need to think whatever you do that there is a room and you can work on that. You have to believe yourself, you have to work on it. But without doing R&D and without rationing our consumption, days are not good for Pakistan. So it's in all of our interest of our next generation, the 70% of the people not sitting in this room who are not representing this whole thought process, and 99% of the population at certain income level are not participating in the thought process. We need to think for them, and we need to think on the future of Pakistan. If we can't, if we don't, then things are not good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that.
And I would like to request Almas Hyder, who's the chairman of Spell Technology Support and Engineering Development Board, to accept a token of our gratitude, a small gift of our appreciation. And of course, our thanks and our gratitude to Ali Khizar Aslam, who's the head of research at the Business Recorder. If there's a doom and gloom picture you want, then he is not the person. However, if you do want that bitter dose of reality, he is the person you should be reading. He should be the person you are listening to and reading. Can we please have a big round of applause for the session and a photograph?